Welcome. Those of you who are joining us on the replay, please jump in and let us know you're joining us on the replay and where you're joining from. We are streaming to 5 different platforms right now, so we will be jumping around. If we're not looking directly at you, that's why. So, hello.
Yeah.
Welcome, everybody. I am your sweet and sour, full of power, purple water falling from the sky, violet rain freedom. And this is the sweet and sassy, always classy.
Yeah. Cuban freedom.
Yes. And we are twin flame projectors in union, blending a family of 5 cute little star seeds, living currently in kind of the mountains of Utah.
Yeah.
Basically.
Sure.
And we are excited to come live. Welcome, Glow. Welcome, everybody jumping on.
Yay.
We're excited for today's transmission. So we are going to be serving up to you a Divine Union Masterclass today. Diving deep, we felt very inspired and have been channeling this all morning and talking about it to come on and share some really deep, powerful information with all of you today. And honestly, I can give you some background info of what's really inspired talking about this. So in our human design, Keely and I are both projectors. And if you guys don't know your human design, you need it's your sign. We finally have it up and available, and I'm going to put the link in here on our website to run your charts there. And it actually gives you a full free downloadable PDF so that you can go and get your chart ran. So you know what we're talking about when we talk about it.
Yeah.
Anybody that's watching it through Keely's Instagram, just go to divinerebelmovement.com.
There we go.
And it'll be on the homepage.
Yeah.
There we go.
I don't have the link in there for you guys, but I can drop it in after we are done.
Yeah.
I'll just drop the link in the comments of this live so that you guys will have it.
For sure.
Right now.
Same with you guys over here on my Instagram.
Yeah.
So not one of the things, in our lives, we have these 3 primary platforms for our well-being, right? We've got our health. If we don't have that, we have nothing. Then we have relationship. And today we're primarily divinerebelmovement.com. Yep. And today we're going to be primarily talking about, so I was saying health, relationships, and the third is like life purpose. What are you here doing? Why are you here? Right. And in that encompasses a lot of the emotional, mental, spiritual, like health type things. But your emotional health and your spiritual health, your mental health affect all 3 categories. Right. But if we were to kind of structure your life, we've got your personal like health, then we've got your relationship, and then we have like your doingness, your purpose, what your career, what are you doing here? Right. So today we're going to talk about relationships because we have 2 clients that we're currently working with right now. And we've had this reoccurring pattern in our coaching. People come to us and they want us to help them make money in their genius. That's what we are so good at doing. And before we can even really get them making money and being prosperous, we get to look at this core pillar of relationship. The person you sleep with at night, the person in your bed is the person in your head. You can quote me on that. That's a good one, right?
That was a good one.
The person in your bed is the person in your head. So you're sleeping next to this person. You are taking on their limiting beliefs, their trauma, their life. When you go into union with someone, you take the other person as yourself, which means their parents are now your parents. It means if they don't have a good relationship with their parents, that is a loss for you personally because they are your parents. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Right? It's like if she's wanting and needing something, if I've taken her as myself, I'm not fully in a win-win unless that's happening. Right? And this, again, we're not talking about codependency. I'm not saying you can't be happy unless they're happy. However, if it's really easy for you to be happy when your partner is miserable, what the fuck? What's going on? They're your person. It should be lame to you when they're sad. There should be some level of care involved with that, obviously, right? You guys are feeling that energy. So the person in your bed is the person in your head. And we have these amazing entrepreneurs coming to us. And a lot of them are so like fed up in their relationship that they're not even trying to work on the relationship anymore. They're working on themselves. So if that's you, I invite you to put a 1 in the comments. If you're like, you know what? They're doing their own thing and I've tried and tried and tried and it's held back my progress. So now I'm just doing me. We've both been there in our previous marriages.
Yeah.
It was like, this is a dead end road right now and they're not seeing it, getting it, caring. So I need to put the oxygen mask on my first and I need to start doing self-care. I need to start looking into things, like studying, researching, personal development, all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. So put a 1 in the comments if that's you. And if you're watching the replay, still put a 1. Put a 2 in the comments if you are trying to work on your relationship right now. You're seeing that there are things that are misaligned. There's things you're trying to communicate, needing to communicate. You can see that something needs to shift, and maybe they also do as well. Maybe you're talking about going to therapy. Maybe you are going to therapy. What is that for you? And if that's something that's going on right now that you're like, yes, going into 2024, we're going to talk more about 2024 predictions in a bit. Going into 2024, you're knowing that on the top of your list of goals and things to look at is that significant other partnership. And even if you are in a solid union, I invite you to make that a higher priority. Our partner is one of the most powerful sources of transformation and elevation and progress in our life. Like, they're key. I've seen so many people that have a vision or a mission or a goal. They fall in love with someone, they get distracted by it, and then they don't follow through with it. Maybe they're going to move somewhere. Maybe they're going to start a business. Maybe they're going off to college. Maybe they're whatever. And they meet somebody and then all of their plans are gone, right? And they're completely consumed and wrapped up in the relationship. So you've seen this before. People sabotage their whole life because of a relationship. This area of our life, this need for love and companionship, is the source of so much fuckery, codependency, pain, struggle. And when you get that locked in, quantum leaping happens. When you've got a divine union between two polarizing components working together for a cause, it's powerful.
Yeah, it really is. That's exactly what we have. That's our experience. That is our experience. There's nobody that you're with for a concentrated amount of time more than your spouse, more than, your partner, if it's not your spouse. But the person that you are with is the person that's influencing everything inside of your life. So focusing on it and bringing in as much conscious thought as we can is essential.
It's essential. It's necessary. So I know with a lot of this, we're kind of preaching to the choir. We're really laying the foundation to validating the value of this individual. And a lot of people that don't have this area of their life figured out minimize this area of their life. It's a very rare breed that's actually designed to live their life solo. I was just talking about this on the weekend with my mom. My mom has been single since 2002. And she's dated, her whole house is feng shuied actually to find and meet a partner. It's incredible. And if anyone goes and lives with her, they end up getting married. It just happens. Her whole house is feng shuied for it, but she's still not remarried. And on the weekend, she was talking to us and she said, I can see that there's a lot of personal growth that I've actually missed out on because I haven't had a partner to grow with, to compromise with. And like that partnership, that relationship is the biggest mirror and the biggest growth mechanism in your life. So if you're not leaning into this area of relationship, you're stunting your own growth. You want to quantum leap fast. You want your money to change. You want abundance to increase for you, prosperity and opportunities. Look no further than your primary core relationships. And that is your significant other, because the significant other holds the culmination of the mirror, of the imprint of your DNA, all of your genetics, the way your mom raised you, and the way your dad raised you. All of those wounds, all of the gifts, all of the shadows of those dynamics that make the full printout of who you are are most potente, and in your face in a union. And so many people are missing the mark. Hear me. There's a lot of you right now that are staying in relationships that are well past their expiration date. And it is a dysfunctional shadow pattern that has you staying. It's conditioning that has you staying. Religion, you just keep the family together, any sort of programming around that. What about the kids? And you're staying in dysfunction. And you are stunting your growth and theirs because of programming. And then there are many of you that keep ending up in separation from your partner and or breaking up with partners because of your shadows. Your shadows are keeping you from being able to be in union. Mm-hmm. It's one or the other. You're either staying somewhere you ought not be because of programming, or you're not getting to where you want to be with your current partner or manifesting the partner you want because of those shadows. Either way, it's something to look at. This is why that impulse is there. This is why, like, one of the biggest drives in us, our human appetites, is sex. Because in order to do that, I mean, there's a lot of, revolutionary things in the area of sexuality where people are like, no, I don't need to be in a relationship to get laid. And that's a shame in the fact, I'm not judging that like perspective. What I'm saying is the shame is when people avoid relationships because their work. They're like, oh, I'm just going to be single and I'm just going to be single forever. And I'm just going to sleep around with all these different people. And I'm just going to do all this stuff because that way they can avoid looking at themselves. I've said this before. You go put me in an amazing mountain resort that's beautiful, gorgeous. All my meals are provided. And I don't have to, deal with taxes or traffic or sick kids coming in my room at 4 a.m. Or whatever it is. And I am going to be one of your favorite people. I'm like a Zen Buddhist ascended master when I have no triggers around me. Yeah, I'm amazing. But then you go and put any individual inside of an environment with triggers where they're being hungry, or they're dealing with sleep deprivation, or they're dealing with the stress of employees, or they're dealing with the stress of expanding their company or taking something global, or trying to navigate schedules or co-parenting or any of that stuff. And you put an individual in that situation, their shadows come out to play. Their shadows come out to play.
And it's also the not self. It's the fear frequency dipping into that fear frequency when we flip over. And we are then living out that not self theme. All of the limiting beliefs come in, all of the programming of everything else affecting us, everything else that has come and told us all these different ways of being versus how we are really in our true gifts on the planet. How we as a human being were born onto this planet to be inside of our human design. That's where you will know. That is the theme, or that is the not self, and then the self. Self and not self. All those shadows love to come out to play when we dip into the fear frequency, which we get to do as human beings.
Yeah.
We get to have it be okay when we dip into those fear frequencies.
Exactly. So, I lost it. I was going to ask you guys a question. Okay. Yes, I got it. Are any of you watching live or watching the replay in a position where you're wondering, do I stay or do I go? Is this the partnership for me? If you're in that place where you're not knowing and you're seeing yourself going up and down or back and forth, or you're vacillating and you're in your head about it, put a 3 in the comments. Just put a 3 in the comments if that's you. Own it for yourself. And it's like, this is an opportunity. This is a safe container of just observing yourself and being real and claiming that. So just put a 3 in the comments if that's you. If you're back and forth in your head, is this the relationship for me? Throw a 3 in the comments. This is important to recognize if you're stuck in this place, because something that we are very gifted at doing, we carry the codes for divine union. So as twin flames, we hold the full polarity. So you can see it in our charts. It's really fun to see it in the charts, right? Like we're both Aquarius suns and we're completely opposite moons, right? So there's that twin and then there's the mirror. Then there's that twin and then there's the mirror. Same thing in our human design charts. I've got a filled in ajna and throat, and she has a filled in G center, heart center,
and throat.
So It creates that infinity. And so one of the things that we're very good at seeing is seeing timelines of relationships and union. And there are certain components, foundational things you have to have for a union to work. What are you doing? You're breaking up. I don't know. No, round crabs. No, we're not. That's funny. Far from it. We're teaching a class about divine union, how to come into union together, everyone. So, what a fun little thought. Random. So basically, I'm so distracted by that. It's so funny. I'm like, let's see. There we go. That's good. Okay. So basically, what was I talking about? Divine union. Oh, I'm on a trail. It's gonna come back. I'm feeling so excited to tell him too. That was funny. If any of you remember what I was talking about, remind me. Catch me up with myself. Catch me back up. Oh, yeah. So we hold the full polarity. And what's so great about that is that we can look at a union and we can tell you pretty quickly if it has the key components to make it work.
Yes.
So I'm going to tell you one that's pretty obvious, but that a lot of people miss. And it's pretty simple. You have to have two people that want to be together. And by want, I mean like you desire that person, you're attracted to that person. Like there's a willingness there. If you're in a relationship and you were to say to your partner, for example, you know, I feel like we need to go to relationship counseling, and they were like, no. And you're like, well, I really feel like this is important. This is something that we need. And they're like, no. And you're like, why? And they're like, I don't think we need to, or I'm not willing to, or I don't believe in that, or whatever. And there's no willingness there. There's nothing to work with. Like, hear me. It doesn't have the key components to work. It's like having a car with no engine. You have to have that drive. And when you don't have people in a level of interconnected desire for each other, and it doesn't actually have to be equal. You can have the man more desiring the woman than the woman desiring the man, and it can actually still work out statistically. I wouldn't call that like a divine union. I wouldn't say that's the ultimate goal for one person to feel like they're settling or to be less invested in the relationship. But statistically, it's been shown if the woman is the one that is less attracted or less pulled in, the union can still function. And that's part of the way that the divine masculine or the masculine and feminine energies work together. It can work. But ideally, to create that divine union, you get to have a foundation of two partners equally invested and equally desiring each other. Obviously, that's pretty straightforward. But so often people lie to themselves in their relationships. They delude themselves into thinking this person wants me like I want them, and they actually don't. And there are so many problems in a relationship that really come down to he's just not that into you, period. And maybe he's not even capable of being that into you. And once again, we've got a car without an engine. A car without an engine. Throw me in the comments if you've ever been in a relationship with a car without an engine. I'd love to know. Are you guys with me? You hear me? Picking up what we're dropping?
There's so many things.
So much coming in.
Yeah.
So here we go.
We're just not about any of that anymore. We're getting to a time now where there's so many things that are being energetically pushed and energetically lined up for you. If you know that what your desire is to have that divine union, then it's like we're getting to the point where that's what gets to happen inside of everything. It's like it helps be able to get you ready for all the energies that are coming through and have been coming through for a long time. If you guys are on this live, You guys have been definitely tuning into the energies and tuning into the energetics of what divine union looks like, feels like, means to you, everything. And it's time for, especially if you've been feeling that call or feeling that desire, that push, all of that, it's time. We're coming into all of these energetically aligned times to be able to call that in for you.
Yeah, we've done the work.
Yeah.
We've done the work. You've done the work. Like, if you're on here and you're listening, you're no stranger to personal development or looking at yourself. You're very clear and you understand the value of it and you see it. And for a long time, light workers have been attempting to bring everybody with them. Oh, I'm going to heal and I'm going to change this and I'm going to work on me, and hoping that their partner is eventually going to join them in that journey.
Yeah.
And what we're seeing right now is a lot of things are coming to a head. And I want you to hear me when I say that being in a relationship that is not divinely aligned, that has energy leaks for you, and that is debilitating to your forward movement and your success is like living in black and white. It's a half-life. And so many people stay stuck in that area, thinking that it's impossible, thinking that it's this big mystery why they can't attract the right person or why it doesn't work out. And I'm telling you, there is a very clear energetic reason why your relationships haven't worked the way that you wanted them to. And you are going to be forced in the year 2024 to take a look at some things very, very seriously. Pressure is coming in and being put intentionally on unions to see where they are and to see where they are at. And my question to you is, do you want to spend another year hoping and waiting for certain things to shift? Or are you going to decide that this area of your life gets your full attention and it gets to be prioritized and it gets to be looked at? Because if you're not in divine union right now, and there's nothing wrong with being single, single can be a very powerful part of your journey. And some people are aligned to be single, but if you're on this, it's not you. If you're wondering and you're on this and you're here, you already know that you are meant for and you crave and you desire a divine union, not just a good union, not just a great union, but one that is truly divine, where you are working together as one, but as two autonomous, growing individuals. And you can feel that inside of your being. And that's why you're here. And that's why you're still listening. So I want to kind of detail out for you some of the ways that we can get really derailed from the purpose. The purpose of life and the purpose of relationships isn't ease or comfortability, although through alignment, you can have those things. The point is to grow. Your soul doesn't care about money, sex, relation. It doesn't care. It cares about growth. It cares about expansion. That's what it's here for. So that's the purpose your relationships are serving. And if you're not understanding the assignment, this is about understanding the assignment. The assignment is to grow. The assignment is to look at yourself and to shift those parts of you that make it impossible for divine union and that deep, intimate connection. That's what it's really about. So as we go into 2024, there's a lot of energy I want to talk to you guys about. I've been posting about this, and we've been activating and embodying the downloads coming through so that we can really hold the container for you guys to receive the embodiment of the information that you've been learning, the embodiment of your gifts versus just the mental knowingness of them, but actually bringing them in and grounding them here on the planet. In 2024, you're going to be asked to differentiate. Oftentimes, people see individualization and differentiation as the opposite of divine union, but it's not. Differentiation is about coming into union inside of yourself, knowing yourself completely, knowing your uniqueness, knowing your gifts, knowing your shadows. Okay? Until you fully recognize yourself and see yourself, how are you going to truly love and fully recognize another? You'll be too blinded by your own shadows, by your own ego, to even truly be in union with that person. This is really important. This is essential for us to ground in. I want you to imagine the benefit of having somebody there with you. You've got you and you've got your partner. I want you to imagine the benefit of a third eye perspective coming in and talking to your partner about their shadows and their gifts, talking to you about your shadows, your gifts, as well as your traumas and your operating styles. That's your subconscious way that you process information. And explaining and talking about how to bring those things together. What we have is we have a bunch of people in relationships flying blind. There's no actual guidance about how to make it work. You just have this perspective over here and this perspective over here and this way, and it's just like chaos and it's war. And so what a lot of people do is they stay separate inside of their union and they don't ever actually fully unify. So you've got like two single people living as roommates, kind of like pretending to share bills and responsibilities. But where do you actually have that deeper, like the value of the relationship actually being harvested? They're not. It's like having a well that you never draw from because it's not fully unified. You'll have a taste of it in the beginning when there is excitement and newness and freshness. And then after that honeymoon period, the shadows start to come in. And that's where people move back into their default subconscious operating style based on how they responded to and interpreted trauma as a child. And then you start having separation. Separation comes in sneaky. Separation can come in very slowly. You wake up one day, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years into your relationship and you go, wait a minute, what? You stop and look at it and you go, we have really allowed ourselves to callous around these certain issues where we should have actually gone like this. But instead, we've developed these calluses and we bump up against each other. When it really, what we get to have, what we can have is full union in those areas. The areas where you guys don't align, the areas where you're fighting, areas where there's a polarization, opposites, those are actually the moments and the spaces for the most growth and the deeper connection. That's what they're for. They're opportunities. But what a lot of people do, because they don't have the proper tools, the proper training, or the proper guidance, right? Those areas become areas of separation and they avoid them. They don't talk about it. They avoid it. They don't talk about it. But then life keeps bringing it back up in your face. Let's say this is something you disagree with about parenting style.
Yep.
You will keep having situations in your environment. You will call them in. You will manifest learning opportunities by continuing to have those things triggered and re-triggered and re-triggered. Because again, your soul isn't interested in comfort or ease. It's here for expansion. And eventually your expansion will include expanding into the worthiness to receive that level of comfort and ease. Yes, that's part of it, but that's not the goal of it.
Yeah.
Hear me. That's part of it. It's about ease and flow and joy and bliss and ecstasy. It's about that. But that is secondary to the core thing that it is that you create. It's no different than any level of personal development. Like right now, you guys, our inner circle doors are open. You've seen me posting about this. That experience is about you coming home to you and you having this centered confidence to be able to trust yourself and navigate all that life could potentially throw at you. Because you're home in you. You're centered. You know what you're doing. You have the tools and the skill sets to do alchemy. Now you can experience ease. Because when a problem comes up, which is actually happening for you to fuel your trajectory and your progress and your growth, you lean into it. And you're like, oh, here we go. I like to see it like little mushrooms in Mario Kart. You're driving along and then there's a mushroom. It's like, boo, it's a booster. Imagine seeing problems, obstacles, frustrations from that space. This is an opportunity for me. This is where I evolve. This is happening for me. That level of confidence is so much more than hitting 10K a month, right? A lot of the people in the Inner Circle program, they're right there. They're not above 10K. They're like, I'm working on me right now. I'm focusing on myself and getting my house and my shit in order. Then I'll be ready to take on my relationship or my business scaling or something to another level, right? That's what that program is really designed for. And your success or failure in anything is understanding the actual assignment. It's not about the weight loss. It's It's not about the body. It's not about the marriage or the relationship or the money. That is the incentive that can get our human really moving. But our soul is in it to win it and to win back you, yourself, your life, your autonomy, your sovereignty, your peace. That's what it's about. And when we're really centered in that, it's much easier to make decisions. It's much easier to not be upset when hard things happen. Hard things happen to us. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't know it to look at us because we're always so together and everything always goes so well. But hard things happen.
It is going so well.
It is. Hard things happen, but they're not like, they're not the moose in the road making you slam on your brakes. It's the bug on your windshield, because you're now operating as a level 10 person with a level 2 problem instead of being a level 1 person with a level 2 problem, right? That's bigger than you, that consumes you. That's why life gets easier. Are you guys hearing this code? Are you hearing the code and receiving the code? The code is life actually gets easier and becomes more effortless, not because you don't have problems anymore, but because your problems are like this big. They're itty bitty problems. That's from Aladdin. Itty bitty spaces. Itty bitty problems compared to where you have evolved yourself to be. So hear you me. We have loved ones passing away. We have, I have a loved one that's navigating probably being in prison for the next 3 to 7 years. We have health concerns. We have kids with lots of like special needs and special accommodations. We have a twin flame union that is fiery and requires a level of intentionality and consciousness that can feel like a lot of work. But when you're operating and you're embodying, you're connected to source, you're embodying all of this material that you've been learning and growing and seeking and consuming, this is your call to action with it. It's time to implement it now. It's time to put your money where your mouth is, right? It's time for the rubber to meet the road, and it's time to do the damn thing. It's time to take that action that you've been sitting on. Baby Love was saying this yesterday. It's the fucking dog sitting on the nail on the porch, laying there. This nail hurts. So get up off of it then. Take some action with it then. What are we doing? We're sitting around. If you had what you needed right now to solve your own problems, you already would have. There's something there that's missing for you. But your lack of willingness to take action towards it and just sitting in it and hoping that it's going to change. Just like this is a huge shadow in this industry of people manifesting it into changing without being willing to take the inspired action. If you've been manifesting answers, like a lot of you are on here because you've been seeking. That's why this live came channeled through for you. Your soul, your energy was talking to us today about the area of relationship.
That's how we work. We absorb the energy around us with people we have contracts with or people that we are going to be working with or whatever. We absorb that and then we amplify it out. That's what we do. And especially like for those of you that don't know either, Violet Rain's a line 6. So like here they are just, what that means is that the entire first 30 years of their life was all lived with gathering all these different experiences in their aura. And after the 30-year mark, you basically reach this like time where you what's called go on the roof. And now at this time, it's like, so if anyone is a line 6 in their human design, check that out, because if you're over the age of 30, you already gathered enough information to be able to talk about and to just sit here and let people know about what they need to be working on in the area of expertise in which you've been basically going with, which is everything that has to do with relationships and personal development and how to help yourself in all these ways. I mean, that's primarily plus everything else. Plus everything else in between. I'm like, that's a very narrow thing to say that's what basically all you've been studying, but so much of it has been human design and relationships and how to better and further everything, our consciousness, evolution, everything. So at this point, Violet Rain's able to just speak and the codes are able to come out. The codes are already there. And that's just what we do as a line 6. That's what they do. Not me. I'm not a line 6, but I am a line 4.
Lots of good lines.
Line 4 and line 2.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all of the things that have happened are already a culmination. Like, it's already done. It's already enough. You're here to be the role model. And number 6 is the role model. So you gather the information the first 30 years, and then you have it in your aura.
And you model it. And you model it, and you model it.
Yeah. So if those of you who are just joining in, I'm talking about a line 6 in human design. And this is, if you do not have your human design chart,
go get
it here at divinerebelmovement.com. And you can get your free chart so that you can know if you're a line 6. This helps give you permission to be who you are. This helps you know what it is you're doing when you get into a relationship or anything else, the way that you show up on the planet. There's been so many things that you've been talking about that we have been in so much resistance. Daily, we are getting handed the ways that we are in our own not self-theme and in resistance to what we need to be doing next in our life.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I just want to say, so I have spent the last 10 years of my life helping people get into relationships that are aligned or get out of relationships that are not aligned. This is something that is very, very second nature. And what's important to know and understand is that when I've been working with people, I've been often working with one person in the partnership. We've worked together with some, but I also had a business like 6 years before we met.
Yep.
And this is what I know to be true, is that when you have one person working on it, let me settle into how I want to say this to you. There is a shortcut that you can take. And I want you to know that your health, your money, and your fulfillment in life is directly linked to who is sleeping in your bed. Fact, end of discussion, period. I could have someone argue with me all fucking day long about how evolved they are and how not codependent they are, and they do their thing and I'm just doing my thing and na. At the end of the day, it's bullshit. If the person in your bed is not in alignment with the vision of your life and there's not a co-created vision, you are leaking energy out your ass. And you are chasing programs and you're chasing weight loss and you're chasing working on yourself and you're chasing all of these things. And the problem is in your fucking bed at home. And I have consciously uncoupled from my ex-husband. I carry the codes for that. And there are certain relationships, if you're with a narcissist, there is no such thing as conscious uncoupling. Let me be clear. That type of union, in my experience, which is a plethora, ends in explosions. And it is very difficult. And there are still ways to minimize collateral damage. Conscious uncoupling has the least amount of trauma transfer and the least amount of collateral damage of anything. And I have seen from experience, we have helped a couple uncouple, and we saved especially the woman, because when this happened, the man was also a client. He wanted revenge and he wanted to be fucked up. And when people face rejection and when relationship splits, it brings out the worst in people. Yeah. Hashtag facts. Okay?
You go back into your operating system.
And if you want to avoid collateral damage, that's what I'm saying. People are like, because what we're about to do is we're about to let you guys know about our Divine Union Activation Series. We're getting ready to take on 2 couples and 2 individuals that are seeking and creating divine union. And if you're wondering, well, I think we might be about to break up, this for you. Because even if this divine union thing doesn't bring you guys closer together, we can and we have helped people consciously uncouple with the least amount of collateral damage, the most amount of peace, and the best flow and honor for everybody involved. And not only that, but helping people. This is what you need to hear. When something happens in your life you didn't want or you didn't expect, it can become a snag on your timeline. You guys know what I'm talking about. Think about it right now. Something that didn't go the way you wanted. You dumped somebody, you regretted that you did it. Somebody dumped you, somebody cheated on you. These are snags in your timeline and in your field. And you're wondering, like, why isn't my life coming together? Why isn't because you've got some fucking energy leaks, yo. You're not trusting yourself. You don't know who the fuck you are. You don't know how to listen to your intuition because life beat the shit up out of you. And you not to properly mentally cognate or frame that experience that happened with you. And in 3 seconds, I can give you all your freedom back. We did this with a woman the other day. 3 months ago, we met with a woman that for a medical reason had to have an abortion. And she could not fucking live with it. It had been over a year. It was haunting her. She was having dreams where she was seeing like misshapen children, and she was seeing like an adult with a distorted face talking to her mom. How could you do this to me? She was completely imprisoned by this. And it was simply her inability to have a mental framing that empowered her. And I'm telling you, you can't think yourself to that. I can guide you there. You can't think your way out of that. You're not built to do that. You can't see yourself when you're in the picture. People go through relationships, and when relationships end, there is an element of collective failure that is automatically on every single relationship that ends. Hear you me. You think you can have a relationship end and not have it ding your self-esteem or your self-confidence? Give it 3 months post-relationship ending. Your unconscious is infused with that as a failure. Why me? Why did this happen? This happened to them. They're fucked up. How did I choose somebody that was so fucked up? How did I not see this? How did I not trust? Why would I trust somebody like that? How did I not trust myself to know that that was a red flag? La, 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 la. Mind fuckery out the ass. And I'm telling you, it's a choice to live with that now that I just told you that I can help you. I can guide you out of that. So if you choose to stay in it, I want you to know it's a choice now because you haven't had an option before now. An option didn't exist before now for you to have a conscious uncoupling or for you to bring your relationship back in divine union. It didn't exist, and now it does. I am telling you, if you're dealing with shadow aspects in your union, if that partner is driving you fucking crazy, there's something you've been trying to communicate with them that they can't. You have those core issues that you always fight about no matter what. You need a mediator and you need a facilitator. You need someone that will come in and tell you and them the hard truth. Because if a union's not coming together, you're both in shadow, I promise. Because if a union's not coming together, either one, you're in a shadow and you're trying to make something work that won't. Or two, you don't see how you are unconsciously sabotaging that divine connection through your own fears and insecurities. You just can't see it. And this is the opportunity that you all have. We're moving into 2024. And if you're on this, codes and clarity are coming for you. Whether it's just through this live like this in a masterclass setting, this will be enough for some of you. This is all you needed. Hear me. This is what you needed to know what you need to know to do what you need to do. Okay? You're good. All right? Then there are some of you that also know that you need some fucking help and you need it now. You probably actually needed it a year ago or 2 years ago. Right? But trust the timing because I'm telling you, there is a shortcut. It doesn't have to have as much pain. It doesn't have to have as much dysfunction. It doesn't have to throw you off your game for years. There's a reason why I was able to move through my divorce in a conscious way and be healed and through it enough to be ready for this divine aligned partnership a year later. We've helped a lot of people do this. We've helped a lot of people do this, come into closer union or to move forward and consciously uncouple. And oftentimes, if you're consciously uncoupling, it's one person who's being conscious in the uncoupling. And even just coaching that one person, we have coached couples at the same time, like husband and wife. Mm-hmm. But oftentimes it's one person because by that point, the other person isn't invested and they're not willing. So then you got to work with that. Is that making sense? Is this supporting you? You guys seeing what I'm saying? We blind spots. We explain it to the kids like I like to say it's like you're a big dinosaur and you have this huge long tail. This is my tail, okay? And I'm over here looking around and I'm like, oh, what's that over there? And I want to turn and I just thunk and I just I just take out her head. You can take out whole half the room, right? And you don't see that you do it.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, hey, you spilled my milk. You hit me in the head. And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? No, I didn't. I was over there. I was over there doing my own thing. It's like, no, that's how shadows work. You can't see them. You don't realize you're taking out half the room. You don't realize there's things you're doing that are setting you up for disappointment in your relationship. There's ways you're not understanding how they're wired. And therefore, that's a reflection, that's a mirror. You don't understand how you are wired.
Yeah.
You are not recognizing yourself.
And how you react to when someone's telling you your dinosaur tail's hurting me, or that just hurt, or you didn't see this when you moved this way. That is an indication of how it is that you are dealing with those shadows, how you're dealing with it. If someone's like, you know, the way that you explained this or said this hurt my feelings or whatever, you know, how you handle those situations is you get to get intimate with those parts of you. You get to see them and turn and look at them and be like, whoa, yeah, my dinosaur tail hurt you. And I didn't realize that I was saying this or doing this or acting this way. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I kiss it. I help it. Make it better.
But we're only able to do that if we're not carrying a whole bunch of bitterness and resentment.
We get to be open to it. And we can't be open to it if we're already full.
I want to give you guys a really powerful example of self-recognizing and understanding yourself. So inside of our relationship, Keely and I also have exactly opposite operating styles, which is fascinating. Operating styles are not determined by your star charts, although there can be themes. It is determined by the way you interpreted the painful, traumatic things in your childhood and the coping mechanisms that you went to. And these are their strengths, and they're also weaknesses. So we have complete opposite ones, which the power of knowing that and being projectors, being able to deeply see the way that they play off of each other. There's a totally different level of permission and space and room inside of a union where you fully self-recognize. And when you fully self-recognize, now you actually can recognize the other because you can see where you're different. When you don't have that, you intermix you and them.
Mm-hmm.
And now your brain is it's like a ball of yarn. You can't sort out what's their responsibility, what's you, what's them, what's the root of this fight, why is this coming up, why does this always happen, why can't we figure this out, why can't we just make it work together, why isn't it flowing, why does this come out of thin air? And you're really, really stuck at that point. But when you self-recognize, you can now recognize them. You can honor yourself and you can honor them. And 80% of fights and disagreements can dissolve because there is a clear knowing about you and them. There are three energies. There's their energy, there's your energy, and then there's your union. And your union is a separate energy. It's an entity. It exists, it lives, and it breathes. That's why when relationships break up, it can feel like a death. Because there is an energy that was combined, that was the two of you, your unique union that's gone now. And it can be really hard. And a lot of people in your life were in love with that union as well. And they have to grieve it too, because it goes away. And understanding these energetics, the mechanics of how your union meets, where it meets and where the holes are. We have inside, so you can run a human design chart separate, and then you can run a relationship chart. When you run a relationship chart, you can see the not self themes, the gaps inside of your union. Those are the areas where there's the most growth potential and the most healing potential, and also the most separation potential. You don't have one without the other. Inside of the seed of every inside of every disadvantage, this is a Napoleon Hill quote, there is a seed of equivalent advantage, of opportunity. So the areas where you guys can have the most disconnect are the areas where you can have the most connection. And that is what creates a solid union, a union that stands the test of time, difficulties, passings, financial struggles, health struggles, relationship struggles with family, kids, raising kids.
Because it becomes less personal and it becomes neutral. Like the fact that I'm a promoting supporter and that you are a analyzing controller, it neutralizes the fact of the way that they will show up in certain circumstances and everyday life. It becomes like, instead of taking it so personally that, when we're in this type of situation, I can remember that this is their operating style, and it completely diffuses and neutralizes the energy, because I'm knowing that all these things are pre-established. I'm knowing that, they're always working on, this is just the way they operate when they're in this type of energy, and it will pass. It's all going to pass. It's all going to just work its way through, and it's going to pass.
Mhm.
And knowing that certain behaviors or certain times in those moments are hard, and what can be done inside of those, and what little tweaks can be done to help the other person either come out of it quicker, hold space for them, work through it. All of those things happen, and it's so easily dispelled, or
Mhm.
it's so easily, because we're turning and looking at it. We're turning and looking at the shadow and loving on it and embracing it versus pushing it away. And, there's nothing more, there's nothing more that is your mirror than your partner, that's here to hold you accountable, and everything, for the ways that you're not liking the way that they feel in conversations, or the way that they showed up this way or that way. There's nobody more that will hold up that mirror for you than the person that you're with. And it's a really beautiful thing. We want those, but the area that can bring us into the most separation is those shadows. And if you don't know them about the other person, there can create just so much static and friction and resistances and everything. But when you know them, um, it becomes so much less personal.
So much less personal. And it becomes something that's like, it can be a guarantee. Like if you're seeking and wanting security and grounding inside of your union, you're wanting to have systems for success in the relationship where there's not so much questioning and there's not so much like what's what and what's true. We recently had this experience. We're going through such a beautiful period of time with our kids, and especially my step babies, Keely's bio kids, with navigating just their changing and their independence and decisions they're wanting to make. So many other things that are like that the inner circle gets to hear, not you guys. We have in our inner circle, we share a lot of the behind the scenes details, because it's a more private, safe container. And we've got a lot of other parties involved that, get to maintain anonymity, and we get to talk kindly about, other players in the parenting game that we're in. But there's been some really tricky things, sticky things we've been navigating. And, I've kind of had my intuitions about things, and she's had her intuitions about things. And we've been trying to blend and like make a decision together, but there's so many moving parts, and there's trauma and there's fear. And then we had an outside guide come in, a brilliant therapist with a lot of experience in a similar dynamic to what we're navigating. And she honestly grounded in a few key principles for how to guide the decision, how to see what was happening. And a 4-year mental agony of decision and battle and deliberation and debate and like, what do we do? And pain became a simple, clear decision. That is the power. There's just two of us here, right? So we've got my way, my opinion, and hers. Where's the tiebreaker here? And ideally, a tiebreaker is somebody that's awake, aware, intuitive, right? And that can come in and say, this is what works. This is what works. And then I'm all of a sudden like, oh, of all the things I was thinking, this was the stuff that was coming in that was intuition. And this stuff was drama. This stuff was opinion. This stuff was programming. This stuff was this. And it can be sorted out, right? Because if not, it's my programming fighting hers.
Mm-hmm.
And somewhere there's the truth. Somewhere there's what will work. But if you don't know it or you've never seen it, how are you to conceptualize of it? How are you to know how if you've never done it? And that's the power of a guide. So what we've created and what we're bringing to you, the download that's coming through is very, very exciting. We're creating a sacred divine union container, 2 couples and 2 individuals. These 2 individuals know that they are meant for a divine union, and they're actively manifesting it right now. And they know and are ready to work through the things in their field, blocking and sabotaging that from coming in. Okay. And then 2 couples that are ready to take their relationship to the next level, ready to break through the ongoing disagreements, battles, confusion that have them living together but separately, and not working and benefiting and drawing from the union like you could. When you bring 2 people in divine union, you work with multiplication, not addition. You got 2 friends, you got 2 people. 1 plus 1. You got roommates, you got 1 plus 1. Right? You have a union. I was going to say it's 1 times 1, but 1 times 1 equals 1. But you start working with times, right? You have 2 people, and if you times 2, 2 times 2 is 4, right? And then you multiply on top of that, you continue to grow and expand. You have so much more ability and capacity, right, than you ever had as that solo individual, or even 2 roommates. Again, you're not in union. You have 1 plus 1. It's 2. Hopefully. Sometimes you have 1 plus a half, and you got 1.5, right? Mm-hmm. Or somebody is 1 plus 0 because the other person is like, don't give a fuck. So I want you to know, if it's 1 plus 0, this program's not for you. You could benefit from booking a relationship evaluation where we can activate you into where the energy is going and how to do what's next. And Inner Circle would be a really great place for you to have the support. So if you are that person, you join Inner Circle, we will give you a bonus relationship evaluation call and help you get set up in your trajectory to love yourself, own what you need to do, and do what you got to do to handle this 1 and 0. Because if it's 0, they're not a fit for a relationship program. They're not going to show up. They're not going to do the work. You're going to be dragging them everywhere. And we don't do that. Our gifts don't work unless we're self-recognized. I can't force somebody to want to be with you. You cannot legislate affection. Hear me. So many people are trying to do that. They're like, well, I'm your wife, so love me. I'm your wife, love me. And this is the way I need love. Give it to me. It's like, no, right now you're nagging. You're insecure and you're anxiously attached to someone that's just not that into you. And it sucks and it's painful, but it's not personal and it's not you, it's them. You're not meant to be in this way, or there would be a polarizing component that would have them they would be forced to look at their shadow work if that polarizing unit's there. This program is for a singleton that's single, that knows they're meant for divine union, that's felt that person in their field, that's calling them in, and that's ready to align and manifest that shit. 2024 is your year, okay? Or a couple where you have both people actively wanting it to come together, committed, in love, maybe sort of falling out of love and feeling that roommate vibe. And they're like, no, this is not what we want. This program's for you. And through this program, you will either come really deeply into union, or you will have such a deep level of self-respect that a conscious uncoupling makes sense. And in that case, that's something we can definitely guide and help happen in a very intentional way with the least amount of collateral damage possible. Okay. This program is going to include a couples retreat, a 4-day luxury getaway. We will be there. We'll be working with you 2 to 3 hours a day. And the rest of the time, you will be playing, hopefully sleeping, resting, enjoying the luxury of the food and the space and the spa.
And really connecting with yourself and connecting with your partner. The time that we're setting up is juicy, and it's completely been, it's come in through our authority to be able to bring in a space for you guys to really spend that time together, completely loving on yourself and each other, connecting, remembering why you're here with each other, remembering what you're doing, and given the space and the time, and especially the permission, magic is possible.
The guidance too, that when you're trying to come into union with somebody, all of the stuff between you, I like to see it like two people trying to hug and there's like a bar between them where they can't go or they're going to stab themselves. They can't come together. Being in a safe space where it can be communicated, because in any disconnection, there are two playing parts to that. And so every individual fully seeing and having lovingly, free from judgment, there is no judgment. Every shadow has a gift to it. So I will sit here and call someone out on their shadow all day long because I know I'm calling them out on their gift too. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so fucking awesome. You're amazing. Like you have this thing. Let's not lie to ourselves. You have this shadow. So I have the shadow of reaction. Ooh. So I have the shadow of reaction, which means, so something will happen. Something will happen. And my brain will immediately, it's like it has a shock. It's like I have an electrical shock of the emotion of it. Right. And I had this initial like trigger experience where I'm like, and baby loves knows how I feel in the moment I told something is not how I feel 5 minutes later, or how actually I totally feel, especially the changes of plan. So baby love will make a change to a plan. And my controller that feels safe by being in charge. My controller dealt with emotional and physical abandonment from my parents. One parent emotionally abandoned me and the other parent physically abandoned me and was left. And I was like on a yo-yo emotionally with this parent. Okay. And so my controller is like, I'm safe when I'm in charge because I will make sure my needs are met. I will make sure I'm fed. I will make sure I'm emotionally taken care of. I will make sure I'm not in a comfortable situation, but nobody else can be trusted with that. Nobody. It's not personal. She can take it personal because she thinks I'm not recognizing her brilliance. This woman's fucking brilliant. I work very hard to keep up with her gene key of fantasy, which is actually the gene key of anticipation, which is her ability to manifest like a motherfucker and call and see timelines. Like she's a genius, especially in business. I'm telling you, our clients that we help them live in their genius abundantly, it's gold. Like it's just so much giftedness with this.
And you're going to want to know these things about yourself.
About you.
Go into your own human design. And when you go into your gene keys, they correlate. They're very much a
union.
Yeah, they're very much partners in the way that they work together. Through your human design, you find your gene keys, but you can learn. They offer incredible things, but the way that you're speaking about it, this part of the gene that's the most active for me, just like Violet Rain saying,
reaction. I haven't told you the gift yet. I'm talking shit first. You know what I'm saying?
You're gonna want to know.
So inside of reaction. So I mean, maybe you have a partner with this, and they're reactive, and they can't see it about themselves, or they don't see it as a problem, or you try to explain it, or whatever. But what basically. She'll say like, I don't know, blah, 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 blah. I'm trying to think of an example. We're going to do a birthday party at Tia's house today for Costin at 6. And I'm like, that's in 3 hours. I haven't emotionally prepared. And it also wasn't my idea and I didn't get to decide. So initially my whole system will be like, and I'm just like frustrated. You know what I'm saying? And if she's taking that personally, that like, I don't want to see her family, which isn't true. I love her family. I want to see them. But in that moment, like she could think she doesn't want to see my family, or I can never do it, or I can never do what I want. They don't support what I want, right? Or something like that. She can go into story. Yeah. I don't feel
supported. Gosh, I just wish that I could just say something and have them not react. Or I wish that there could be something that feels more positive and more whatever. My brain can just go into
easygoing. Yeah. She wants me to be easygoing, and I'm not.
If you have that wound.
If you have the wound.
That's me talking about the wound.
So she magnetized me in to help her see and heal that wound.
Yep.
Right? And I magnetized her in to help me see my freaking shadow with this so that I can love on it and love on the gift. Because the gift is revolution. The gift is my ability to move energy and to revolutionize systems.
The gift to reaction, right, which is the shadow. When in the fear frequency, is the shadow of reaction. But when in the love frequency and the trust frequency, right, it's revolution. Knowing that.
That's powerful because I would never want to cut that off. So let's bring this back to you and your partner. Okay. When you're with us at this all-inclusive luxury resort, and you're having space for each other. You don't have kids, you don't have jobs, you don't have work, you don't have money, you don't have to cook, you don't have to clean. We're talking 24-hour turn down service. This is a sacred container and an opportunity to look deeply at where you connect in your union and where there's pain and healing in your union. And to do it in a neutral, non-judgmental environment. There is no one right or one wrong party in a union. You're both right. And you both have shadows, right? And so to be able to have someone explain an operating style, why are they processing this way and how do they actually work? How can you communicate so you can speak their language, right? And vice versa. So like, it's very hard for me when I don't have control. When I have to surrender things, that's very hard for me. It makes me feel very unsafe. For her as a supporter, if someone is unhappy, especially with her, she's not safe, right? So she was taught as a child to be safe. She people please.
Yep.
You know, cater to the other person, right?
Change myself to be able to keep myself safe and be able to kind of chameleon or be whoever it is that they want me to be around them so that I can, that's my way of controlling the environment, is to change myself for them to be able to keep myself safe, to keep all the emotions in check and in balance. If everyone's happy, I'm happy. If everyone's happy, I'm happy.
Right. You can see the shadow in that right away. She doesn't advocate for her. After all that's done, she's empty because she's like, whoa, I pleased everybody else. Yikes. Right?
Instead of listening to what I'm really wanting.
So I can have compassion for that. When I see her struggling with something emotionally that's happening, I can be like, oh yeah, okay, her supporter is giving her a run for her money right now, and it is whooping her butt. And it usually comes back to beating her up, some way she's inadequate, right? And for me, some way I'm not enough, right? It comes back to some sort of enoughness and some sort of self-worth. So when that can be explained, you guys, in a neutral environment, and you can fully self-recognize and know how you tick and what you need, we got to activate that throat chakra. This is a gift that we give. We give you and activate the gift of expression, right? Being able to express and take action on those things. You can mentally cognate and understand why things are the way that they are. And then you can ground that into your identity so that your union is secure. Your union is solid. It's grounded. It's like the kite string to your union so it can fly high. So it can fly high. While we're on the retreat, we are going to be doing activations for the divine feminine component of the union and the divine masculine component of the union. We'll also be doing individual time with each couple. And you'll also have a couples photo shoot. That's just a fun little bonus I wanted to tell you about. The whole purpose and the point of this entire activation series for your union is to bring you into deeper union with you. And therefore, automatically, it happens naturally, into deeper union with the other. Because when you can really sit and own your shadows, like, yeah, I have this shadow and I can see how it would be hard to live with. But you know what? The flip side is I have this gift and that's amazing to live with. So right there, you've just balanced out. You don't need to walk around feeling like your partner's settled or you're inadequate or you're so difficult to live with. Yes, you are. When you're in your shadow frequencies, everyone's difficult to live with.
Yep.
Everybody. So recognizing where those things are and creating agreements and systems for your union, how you uniquely work, not based on this relationship book that's just one size fits all, not based on that guru or that YouTube video or even this masterclass. This masterclass is here to show you how important, first of all, your union is, and to quit lying to yourself about it. And take a good look at where it's at. Do a relationship review. And I'll be telling you, we are offering relationship reviews for anyone who's feeling called to this, that you're like, I want to see if this is a fit for me. You want to explore that. We don't do sales calls. Okay. We're going to do a relationship review and we're going to decide if you're aligned for this or not. And then obviously your intuition will confirm for you if that's a fit. If you're wanting to get on the call, you're already thinking it could be. All right. We're not going to take on people that we can't really help with this. And we'll be very honest with you. If we think a relationship activation series and a retreat in this way is going to be helpful for you or not. And we're not going to lie to you about that. So if you want to do that, those relationship reviews, private message me. there's a $300 deposit on those to get on our schedule. If you want to talk to us, it's $300 deposit, lock in your spot. When you do the program, that's applied to your program. So you don't lose that money. It goes right into the program. If you don't do the program, that's the cost of the review, of the consult, of the coaching, of the mentoring inside of that container. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. So that's an option that's available to you. So it's about, this masterclass is really about grounding you in the fact that you get to self-recognize and know who you are, and know what makes you tick, face those traumas, face those dramas, and really take a good look in that mirror. You have some blind spots. You do. Just like your partner does. And you're here all day long, like wanting them to see their blind spots. But I'm telling you, as you activate and look at your own, they start automatically doing the same. Mm-hmm. As you start taking 100% accountability for where your relationship is at. That's key. You have to have that foundation. Wherever your relationship is, whoever you've manifested and the current situation you've co-created, you get to take 100%. How much?
100%.
100, not 50-50, 100. If you're in that position, this call is for you. And it will be very, very powerful, transformative. You will look back on it as a pivot point in your relationship. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, that responsibility is that willingness that we were talking about at the beginning. At the beginning, we were saying you got to have that willingness from your partner. Like if they're not even willing to go to the therapist to get on the call, what are we doing? When you are able to stand in the shadow of knowing like, yeah, I did that and I'm sorry that I did. I can see that this was not helpful. It hurt feelings. It was mean. It was passive aggressive. It was all these things. Then we are in business. We're in business. Taking responsibility changes everything, and it opens up the other person to be able to trust, connect, have so many connecting moments with each other, and more than anything with the self. So on here, 11-111.
Perfect. Just kiss about that. So there's a lot of amazing opportunity here to really start utilizing your union for what it's meant to be. It is priceless beyond words. And it is, like I said, it's the biggest factor in your fulfillment and your joy in life. And people who say that it's not are lying to themselves. They are lying to themselves, and they're not seeing the power that that choice has in their life. So if that's you, stop lying to yourself. And if you're feeling called to taking this on for yourself and for 2024, shoot us a message. I'll get you the link to get your, what is it called? Your relationship evaluation, your relationship review scheduled and booked. And let's take action on this. You don't need to have one more year of feeling like holidays have a gloomy cloud hovering over them. That out of nowhere, you can feel hijacked from the joy of the moment, what you're building or creating, because you have these snags inside of your union, which really are snags inside of you, right? So we're excited. I'm really excited to work with you and to support you with this.
Yeah, and we don't have the details for everything. We don't have the perfectly laid out everything. We know based off from our authority, which if for those of you that don't know, mine's self-projected, and
I'm a mental projector.
Is a mental projector, which is no authority. They use mine or whoever's around us. So we've come up with these incredible, we're just so excited. That's what we're here to do. That's what we're here to create. And we're going to let our authority guide us through the rest of it. And that's exactly what we're going to teach you guys how to do.
Yeah. So to ground in what Baby Love is really bringing through for you guys, we know that we'll be meeting with you individually and your partner individually in this program. We'll also be meeting with you collectively together. There'll also be a group that will meet a couple of times because of the mirror of seeing other relationships and other people's wounds and experiences can help you see your own.
Really powerful.
So we have the energetics and the overall feeling of the transmission that's going to come through in this session. But what she's saying is we do not work like therapists. We do not, and we have been up until this point running some of our programs a little bit like that, where there's like just weekly sessions. Yep. And we're just like talking about the same things over and over. The way that we work and what we're going to activate in your field is like
Your mechanics.
10 years of therapy.
Yeah.
Coming to know and understand yourself and how you work and how they work so that you can work together. That's what it's really about. So knowing that the transmission in this program is for divine union, and you'll know and you'll feel in your authority. And if you don't know your authority, go click on that link so you can check it out. Oh, I did want to let you guys know about Inner Circle as well. Inner Circle doors are open. If you're debating this though, let's just book a call. Let's just get you on an evaluation review call, and we'll be able to see, like, is Inner Circle where you would best play right now, focusing on you and working on union within yourself? Or are you ready to, in partnership with your spouse or your significant other, dive deep into the quantum? Because that's what it is. This is about quantum leaping. This is like 4 months from now, not recognizing yourself or your partner. That's really a fun, exciting place to be. It's really fun. It's the best.
It really is.
There's nothing like it. Nothing like it. So are there any questions before we start wrapping this up? Questions about relationships, your union, your chart, anything that you want to throw out there? We can take a couple of questions as we start winding this down. The primary takeaways and activations I want you to have, again, I'm just going to keep driving this, how impactful your relationship is. Whoever's in your bed is in your head. And I want you to ask yourself, when I say that, are you thinking, oh shit, they're in my head? Or are you thinking, okay, we got to like work on that then, because I know there are energy leaks. There are places where you're feeling adequate comparing yourself to them, or they're making you feel that way, or you're making them feel that way, because you guys are not fully seeing, honoring, and recognizing your unique individuality, and then also your unique relationship autonomy. So the second thing I want to drive home is the one size fits all is not going to work. And I also want to drive home, I love therapy, and I can see and support where it can be beneficial. And it is a much slower route to come to understand where the relationship breakdown really is, because all the circumstantial things of, leaving the lights on or leaving socks out or this or that, all of those things literally dissolve when you understand your soul design, your soul print design, and then also your unique relationship design, understanding that as well, because it has its own human design chart. It has its own astrology chart, and it has its own strengths and weaknesses inside of it. And understanding those allows you to work with those. So that's the second big thing that I want you to receive inside of this is, if you're struggling right now, how much of that is simply conditioning? One size fits all, things that people have told you are how a relationship should or shouldn't look, should or shouldn't work. Every relationship is completely unique and unto its own. And there's also universal mechanics for divine union that you will see across the board in every single relationship. And we're here to bring you both. We're here to teach you those foundational mechanics for relationships aligning and flowing in union. And we're also here to show you your unique individuality, the things about your union that are unlike anybody else's, give you the permission, the system, and the agreement to actually live out and implement the legacy that you two are here to create together.
Oh, you see what they just did there? Do you see what they just did there?
So it's been a lot of fun to be here supporting you guys and everyone who's joining us on the replay and has made it to this point. I want to acknowledge you. I want to thank you for being the change that you want to see in the world. I want to thank you for showing up. I want to thank you for wanting to create a healed relationship. Healed relationships create ripple effects of transformation on this planet. They inspire people. They raise healthy, balanced, centered kids. They give an example and a legacy of divine union and honor inside of that growth partnership. That's what it is. This is my growth partner. And I'm going to become and have become so much more than I ever was before we were together. And I'm so grateful for it daily. The mirror, the reflection, the wounds that are brought up, the shadows that are activated, because that brings me home to myself. And as that happens, this grows closer and closer. And those magical exchanges of soul on soul expansion are delicious, are precious, and are your birthright. You want that magical relationship. It's like, I want to explain it. It's like take the ooey gooey excitement of a brand new relationship and then take the centered comfortability of a best friends for life relationship. And that still doesn't even, and then times it by 10. It doesn't even come close to what that feels like. It's your birthright and you can have it. And if you've been thinking like it's just too hard or it's not coming together or I'm stuck here because of the kids or I'm this or I'm that, it's all bullshit. And it's not true. You can absolutely have the union that you crave. You can have it. Believe in that. And that's your first step. Believe it's possible and take that inspired action because the inspiration's coming to you. Maybe this inspired you to have a conversation with your partner. Do it. Maybe this inspired you to reach out and get a call booked and to join us in our Divine Union series. Take that action. Act. Tony Robbins, T. Robbins, one of my faves, says, never leave the site of making a decision about a goal without taking an action for it. So maybe that's looking at your calendar right now and booking a time you're going to talk to your partner or a time you're going to rewatch this. There are union codes inside of this. Mm-hmm. There are things, and some of you that are just jumping on, when we finish this, rewatch the replay. There are key codes here that are being made available to you to transform this. For some of you, this will be enough. This is all that you are here to receive from us, is this guidance now. And then there will be those of you that know and it feel called to this Divine Union series. Good. Really good work. You did a lot. Make sure you drink water, a lot of water. Get some good sleep. Eat something alive and real, because this is some big stuff that's being brought up. This is one of the big ones. This is one of the big three. It's huge. So give it its time in the sun and recognize that if this brings some things up, reach out. That's normal. This is an area that's been calling to you to look at for a while. And it's time now. Love, it's time. 2024 is the year. Good. Beautiful. Thank you guys for being here. With that, since there's no other questions, we'll be popping off.
We love you all.
We love you all
and we
so much. Yes. Yes, we do. Bye. Bye.